Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jess. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and turn on notifications so you don't miss my next video. So today we're going to be walking you through my most worn clothes for winter, talking to you guys a little bit about vintage jewelry. So I've partnered with Folklore to tell you a little bit more about vintage and antique jewelry shopping. So Folklore is a Canadian-based company run by Megan, and she has curated some of the most beautiful vintage and antique pieces. She has a website, which I will of course be linking down below, as well as her Instagram, where she releases pieces on Instagram stories and on her feed. So she has earrings and she has necklaces and pendants and a bunch of rings. I'm going to show you these up close in a bit, but I did want to talk to you guys about how I shop vintage jewelry. So first is find brands that you trust. So Folklore is definitely one that I would recommend to you guys, especially if you're in Canada. The reason why I say find someone you trust is because when you're buying vintage and antique pieces, these pieces have been around for a while. So you want someone who is curating pieces that are in good condition, that they have tested the jewelry thoroughly, so they know what it's made of, they know what the stones are, and you can trust that they have tested it properly. And also pricing, because these pieces are being priced according to like the materials they're made of and the uniqueness of the piece and so many other factors. You really want to be buying from someone that you trust and that you don't think is like overinflating the price just to get you to pay more, but is giving you a good price for the value of the piece that you're getting. So number two, vintage jewelry buying is like a long game. So I don't buy vintage jewelry like I do costume jewelry. Most of my collection now, especially the pieces that I value the most, are vintage and antique pieces or custom pieces. So with vintage pieces, like my biggest suggestion is just like to keep an eye out on their page. So like with Folklore, you can take a look at her site, at her Instagram, at her stories. Take a look at like the vibe of the pieces she has, at like what she has coming out, because every so often she has new pieces. So even if you don't find something that catches your eye like right now, doesn't mean that she might not have something in the future. And tip number three is think of the long-term goal. Like these are pieces that you're gonna have, like at least I'm gonna have for the rest of my life, and that I'm going to hopefully eventually pass on to my kids. So that's like the mindset I like to be in when I'm buying vintage and antique jewelry, and hopefully that helps you. I'm gonna quickly show you these pieces, and then we're gonna run through some of my favorite pieces from this season. So these cutie little hoops that I'm wearing are like a two-tone 10K yellow gold and white gold hoop, and of course I will link everything that she already has live on her site in the description box so you can shop it. So these pieces I am borrowing from her to show it to you so you can actually still buy them. I really like these because it's such like a different shape than the hoops I have. It's kind of an oval, so it's a little bit more low profile than like a big hoop. So those of you who are newer to the earring game, like these are super light and comfortable. All right, so this is actually an opal pendant, so it's like a flower shaped pendant. So she sells chains and charms, so these would be sold separately, and the beauty of that is that they actually come off each other and then you can layer or change it up, so you don't always have to buy like 3 different necklaces. You can buy 1 chain and like 3 pendants, then wear them together or wear them separately. Then also these are some other pendant options. There's this really cute like treasure chest, and there's actually like little treasures in it. So I think there's like a mini chalice and some sort of, there's a knife inside on the top. I think it's like a candlestick holder. And then she actually custom made these ones. These Baroque pearls were from a bracelet or a necklace, and then she got each one bailed, which means that she put like the little gold thing on it so that it could slide on and off a chain and become a pendant. So as you can see, there are 2 different lengths. I think this one's a 16 inch and then this one might be a 20 inch. She does have these chain extenders. So it looks like this, and it has like its own little lobster clasp. All right, so this is the lobster clasp from a necklace. This is the longest hole from the extender. I'm gonna put it like that. Now this end, part of the extender, becomes a lobster clasp for the necklace. And now you can see the chain's like much longer. All right, now for the ring. As you know, I'm a big fan of layering rings over each other. So these are all gold and some of them have diamonds. I've layered them like this because I really like the texture of all of them. This is how I style rings normally. So I start off with something that's pretty like straight cut. So this one is a beautiful like diamond channel band. And then I chose to put this guy on top of it that's like a twisted gold band with like a little bit of like a bow shape. So this guy I would want to sit in the middle of a stack just because it is a little bit of like an odder shape, and having the straighter cut edge on the bottom just looks better in my mind. And then talking about straight edges, this bi-colored gold ring is as like straight edge as you can get. I chose to put a different type of diamond band on my pointer finger. So this one has different shaped diamonds. So it really adds like to the texture of the stack already. Like you don't have something that's this texture right beside it, so it really stands out. And because it is the pointer finger, I usually like to go big or go home. This guy, the tri-colored like rope ring, basically brings this stack almost as thick as this one. Like I don't want them to be exactly the same because I like some asymmetry in my ring stacks. So that's like the thought process that goes through my mind when I stack some jewelry. And then of course we have a statement piece here. It's actually like an Edwardian white gold solitaire ring. It reminds me of like the most gorgeous shield. I just think it's so beautiful, and with like vintage and antique pieces, like it's really hard to find contemporary pieces with this kind of detail and this kind of uniqueness to it. Okay, and now to talk about some of my most worn pieces for winter. As you know, my style is pretty classic, and the vintage pieces that I chose today will like go with any of these pieces. So we're gonna start off with this cardigan. I briefly mentioned it in one of my videos. This is a Latierra cardigan, but this is something I've been wearing around the house a lot and when I go out, because I just have to cross it over like this, and like this becomes basically a scarf. And this is actually 100% baby alpaca. So baby alpaca is a sustainable material that's sourced from Peru, and Latierra actually like gets it made in Peru and they design it here in Canada. So it's a sustainable and ethical company, which is another reason why I should buy vintage and antique jewelry, because that's a great way of buying sustainable, because it's something that they don't have to produce again. It's something that you're giving new life to. So this is the baby alpaca up close. It's almost looking like a little bit of like a boucle material, and it actually doesn't itch. That's one important note that I have learned with alpaca. It's actually not itchy, even on my sensitive skin. And of course, leggings I've been living in. These are from Aritzia, and I believe these ones are their like atmosphere cotton leggings. This was part of their community package originally, but they do sell like similar ones. They're 100% cotton, so they're super comfy. The only thing is that they are quite thin, so they're great for around the house, but if you're gonna wear leggings outside, I'd maybe check like I think they have like a butter version that's a little bit thicker, and I think I might be grabbing those. I love them because they're super high rise. So it's like up here past my belly button, and as my belly grows, it just like hugs it and supports it, and they're pretty long. So they go past a lot of my boots, so they can be tucked in. So you don't get that like awkward skin showing between legging and boot. It actually shortens your leg, I find, when they show. Sticking with knitwear, this is my Lauren Manoogian sweater. It is from Shop One of a Few, which is a boutique in Vancouver. Lauren Manoogian also has like alpaca in it and has wool in it, and they are made also in Peru. So Peru is clearly making a lot of beautiful sweaters. This kind of shape is just something that I always look for in the winter, because you can layer over so many things, and it looks good like over leggings, and it'll look good over wider leg jeans. Plus, like now that I am pregnant, it will really like allow for a belly to be under this. Now that I have added the extender to the longer necklace, I can have it sit outside the sweater. So like if you have like V-neck sweaters or kind of crisscrossy sweaters that are a little bit more awkward like this, for like sometimes necklaces might hit like right there. With the chain, it comes down and it actually sits on top of your sweater, and then the shorter one still shows like in the normal neckline. So that's another reason why like a chain extender might be a good idea, so you can really have a chance to show the necklaces that you own and slash are wearing, instead of them being awkwardly like hidden underneath. I believe this exact style is no longer available, but they have like sweaters that are very similar to this in terms of tone and material. This one I'm wearing in a size 2, so it is a bit oversized, but you know that's how I like my sweaters. This is from Anna and Zach. This is, I believe it's called their vintage crew neck. So it fits a little bit more oversized, a little bit longer, but I did get it in a size large, and I think it fits perfectly. It goes right over the area of my leggings that I like to cover like my butt and the crotch region without being like super tight. And it does have a little bit more of like a balloony shape above the elastic, which again will be great for my growing belly bump, but also anyone who's a little self-conscious in the belly region, because it's not like hugging anything. It's really giving you the room to breathe and feel comfortable. And this is the oatmeal up close. As you can see, it's more of like a marled oatmeal, so it's got a little bit more depth to it. It's not just like a flat beige. Adds to like that vintage vibe, which goes really nice with the vintage jewelry. And these are the boots that I'm wearing in today's video. These are the camper boots that I have been loving. I know that I showed you the Geox ones as well, but I have found myself gravitating towards campers just a little bit more because of the wider sole, and they look a little bit more sneakery. But the Geox ones are a little bit more comfier in terms of the sole being like cushiony, so it really depends on what you like. So they both have a zipper on the inside, so you're not actually like doing up the laces every time. I think no matter which one you choose, some sort of black combat-y boot is like a must-have for winter, and these ones are the ones that I have been wearing the most so far. Alright, so normally in the winter I'd say I'd have a couple more pants and jeans to show you, but yes, I am pregnant, so my belly is making it quite hard for me to wear a lot of my jeans anymore. I think I'll only be able to wear these for a couple more weeks, if not 1 week, because they're a lot tighter than I remember them being. These are my Jessie Kamm jeans that I absolutely love for the winter because they are thicker. They are a Japanese cotton, but they're a thicker Japanese cotton, and so in the winter they kind of act as like a windproofing like piece of clothing, because leggings are great, but leggings let a lot of air in. They're super high-waisted and they are kind of like a straight wide leg, but because they have the carpenter detailing all around it, it doesn't make it look as wide. And it has a button fly, and as you can see, the button fly is actually like struggling, I think, so I might have to pack these away soon. But regardless, a pair of thick cotton jeans, at least cotton for me, is a really good thing to have in your closet for winter. And then on top I have my Tkees hoodie. I have this in 2 colors. So they gifted me one set and I loved it so much I actually purchased another one for myself. And I'm wearing a size 1 in the hoodie. This chain extender is getting so much use because if it wasn't as long, the necklace could get lost or look a little bit awkward sitting up higher. But now it looks so much more natural, hanging out of the hoodie. So this is the hoodie up close. It is like a thinner cotton. I think they just came out with their warm core, which is like a little bit of like a thicker fleecy material, but for me I really enjoy the thinner cotton because it's still warm enough for me. I just have to layer something underneath if I'm like going to be wearing it outside without like a thicker jacket. With it being thinner, you can actually layer things like a blazer over it, which I'm going to show you right now. So of course, like one of my most worn pieces in the winter has to be some sort of oversized blazer. So this one's actually 95% wool, so it will be a nice layer over, let's say, like the thinner hoodie. But why I like the thinner hoodie is because it just fits a lot nicer under the blazer. I don't feel as bulky. Like the pieces that might be like crunching up underneath the armpit shoulder area aren't that bad because it is more of like a malleable cotton versus like a thick fleece. So on my feet are the Nike blazers. I still have yet to do like full styling video on them because a lot of my clothes don't fit anymore, but I'm going to try. These ones I got in my true to size for Nike and I have been loving them. Some people have asked me like how to break them in. I honestly didn't have any issues breaking them in. I wear socks with them, socks that are higher than the actual shoe normally. Obviously right now I don't have any socks on because I'm just styling things for you, but if you wear socks higher than the actual shoe, you should be fine. And the reason I like them so much is because they're so versatile. They've got that vintage vibe. I got them in the black and white, so they really go with everything, and they give you that like much needed tomboy vibe in any outfit. Okay, so last but not least, I'm going to talk about jackets. I have 2. Essentially, we're talking about big jackets that fit over layers. So right now I have the tank top, the hoodie, the blazer, and I'm going to be putting it under the Aritzia Super Puff Long. I recently just got this, but literally since I got it, I have been gravitating towards it. I didn't think that I would like the long Super Puff because like I just thought it'd be restricting, so I never got it last year, but thankfully they were kind enough to gift it to me, and I'm gonna get my mom one too, I think, because it's just so good and so warm. So yes, I'm wearing jeans right now, but because I've been living in leggings, my legs get so cold, and it hasn't even like dropped under 0 yet, and this has protected my legs so much, and it has enough room that it can fit like over big sweaters like this or over like hoodie and a blazer and still feel comfortable. So this is it zipped up, and I'm wearing a size small. I think that's perfect for me because I think if I went down to an extra small, it would like be too tight and restricting. If I went to a medium, it might just give me too much room around like this area and might like bulge weird. And I kind of was worried that it might look like I'm wearing a sleeping bag. Some of you might think that it looks like that, but it's as slimming as like a super long puffer can be. It does have like the buttons on the side, so you can undo it and have a little bit of leg showing. I do unbutton them or do this when I'm like getting in and out of the car. Because it is so long and restricting, it's a little bit hard to maneuver. I do have a taller car, so those are some little tidbits I'd say if you're considering the long super puff. And last but not least is my R13 super oversized canvas jacket. I know that I'm not going to be able to link the exact same one, so I'm going to just tell you now. It doesn't exist anymore, but I do try to link like similar green oversized canvas jackets. A really great place to look for these would be vintage stores. Probably find a really nice like men's large that looks like this. I put my Manoogian sweater over the hoodie to show you that like sometimes with sweaters like this that are like a little bit more bat winged or super low hanging, it might even be hard to fit under the super puff. So it's always nice to have something in your closet that is super oversized, that also has like a drop armpit wing area so that you can wear your sweaters comfortably. It's not very warm on its own, but because it's so oversized, I can layer so many layers underneath it that it is my favorite winter jacket. And that's a wrap. These are all my most worn pieces in my winter wardrobe / a lot of these I've had for a couple of years now, so I know that like I can trust them. Just like I know that I can trust like vintage jewelry and like these ones from Folklore. I feel like if you guys are lucky enough to get your hands on them, you will have them forever. With me and like wearing a lot of the same pieces over and over again, like I like to dress it up with jewelry, and a lot of the time I like go towards my vintage jewelry because I don't have to worry about like washing my hands with them, using soap with them, like them getting affected by any of the skincare makeup that I use, because you actually have to be really careful with that with non-solid gold jewelry, antique and vintage jewelry. Most of the time you're buying at least 9K solid gold and up, and they're super easy to like polish and get clean if like for some reason it's not as shiny as it used to be. So keep that in mind when you're investing in jewelry. I know like when I was younger I would buy like cheaper jewelry because yes, more affordable, but I don't have like so many of those pieces anymore because they just oxidize and I can't even use them, so they are in the garbage. So that's why now when I am looking for jewelry, a lot of the time I go with vintage antique pieces or go with custom pieces. Anyways, I will be linking everything down below. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you so soon.